the Holy Jesus Hospital is one of only three extant 17th century buildings in Newcastle. So this brickwork here, 17th century, is very old, but in fact, the Holy Jesus Hospital has really ancient origins, supposedly, going back to a lot of antiquaries in the past. They claimed that this was the Pandon Hall, which was like the burial place for Northumbrian kings and things like that. So the Pandon Hall, and Pandon's really old. The medieval village of Pandon, William Gray, an antiquary from the 17th century, he wrote the Chronologia in 1649, and in that book he said the famous phrase in Newcastle that if you want to say something's old, you say it's as old as Pandon. Right? Now he said that in 1649. People were calling it old then. Pandon. Why is it called Pandon? Well, it could be because there was a Roman pantheon there. Who knows? But Northumbrian kings, and then what happened was in medieval times this became a friary for the Augustinian monks, and then when the church was disbanded in 1539 by Henry VIII, it passed into this became the King's Manor House. So when any royalty travelled north, you got Pilgrim Street right there, the old Great North Road, this ancient thoroughfare going through Newcastle. So when any kings travelled north on their way to campaigning in Scotland or anything like that, they had to they would stay here. And so this was fit for royalty. It was able to accommodate royalty. So this was a grand manor house back in the day. Queen Elizabeth had her Northern King's Council here and all that. So basically what happened after that was, after it fell into sort of disuse around then, after Tudor times, and then it became, the freemen of the city used this place as a sort of welfare, a hospital, more like a hotel, you could say. It was a real privilege to get accepted into this place. You got a room, you got a large room. When most of Newcastle lived in poverty and very crammed together down there, where All Saints is, this was a real privilege to be stationed up here. There was a garden and a field out the front. There was a herb garden, and there was these spacious rooms, and you got given a bit of pocket money and coal, and you got your food laid on for you. And they styled them inmates. The brethren and sisters of this place, they were also called. So this was a kind of a very nice welfare for the families of the freemen of the city. And then in the 19th century, it became a soup kitchen, and it was again in the 1990s. It went back to being a soup kitchen, the People's Kitchen. But I remember it as the George Joyce Museum, where they used to have this amazing museum in here, where kids could experience what life was like in Victorian times and sit in a Victorian classroom. And I kind of wish they'd bring that back again. But you see, this is right next to the Central Motorway here, and this sort of 1960s monstrosity that cuts through a lot of Newcastle. Well, actually, it was T. Dan Smith who saved this. He actually saved this because people think of T. Dan Smith as this kind of, he was knocking down large parts of the historical town and everything, but he was actually a conservationist. So without his input in the city council at the time, this would be lost. So we're very lucky to have it.